Minority Report podcast, powered by the National Cannabis Industry Association, also known as the NCIA. I am your host, Khadijah Adams, founder of Girl Get That Money, a business empowerment coaching and consultancy firm, and also the founder of the Green Street Academy, where we teach you the basics of investing in cannabis stocks. So the goal of our show really is to highlight minority entrepreneurs in the space and share weekly updates with you guys about news, about what minorities are doing in the industry as a whole, what they bring to the industry. We also like to find out what they need in the industry as well. We interview minority entrepreneurs, minority-owned companies that support social equity applicants, and a host of other cannabis industry leaders and pioneers. Joining me today is my very special guest, Anthony Jenkins. He's the CEO of Next Level Edibles. When we return from our commercial break, we're going to catch you up on the latest news about minorities in cannabis. And also, you're going to learn more about Anthony Jenkins, about his story and his journey into the cannabis industry. So if you are watching us right now on Facebook, hey, click the share button and get some of your friends on. In fact, why don't you just post this in your timeline, and so your friends can actually watch this with you. We'll be back right after these messages.
It is the budding dispensary of knowledge.
We want to be more than just the PubMed of cannabis, the Google Scholar of cannabis. We want to be a continuing education platform that is easily accessible.
We see this as being able to leave a legacy for the entire industry and really elevate this plant to where it deserves to be.
Staying alive was no job at second hand. Moms bounced on old men. So
all right, you guys, we are back with the latest news as it relates to minorities in the cannabis space and also social equity. So listen, although we know that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, in 2022, social equity remains a top priority for many. Here's what's interesting, you guys. There's many people in our space, in our government policies as well, who are advocating for representation and ownership for Black, Indigenous, and people of color in the cannabis industry. One of those people is, let me see if I can pronounce her name, Mings Abibi, Vice President of Public Policy at Columbia Care. Abibi was awarded with the Cannabis Leadership Award at the Cannabis Business Times and Cannabis Conference 2021. Abibi champions for social equity in the marketplace, in the cannabis marketplace, I should say. What I really loved about reading the article is that the key pillars that were touched on, not just stop and arrest, but also expungements and resentencing, and what social equity really means in cannabis as it relates to people of color and people who have been impacted by prohibition, really giving them a chance and an opportunity in this industry. That's really what it's all about. So talk to you, Abibi. We appreciate you so much. Keep up the great work and all that you do to move social equity forward in the cannabis space. Now, I also like to bring news about loans and investments and things of that nature. And I read today that as of February 1st, New Mexico is going to be opening up and accepting loan applications for micro businesses in the cannabis space. So there was a press release that was actually distributed by the New Mexico Finance Authority, or the NMFA, the Oversight Committee. They have actually approved a loan program for cannabis micro businesses, particularly in rural and economically disadvantaged communities. So applicants can actually apply for $250,000 up to $5 million. Now, here's the catch, you guys. There is a minimum of 5% equity that is required. and the loans will be collateralized. Now, the loan terms will be up to 5 years, and the interest rates will vary between 2 to 3%. Now, in my personal opinion, and mind you, for all of you out here, here's a disclosure. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial broker or anything like that. I don't play one on TV or the internet, but 2 to 3% is really very good. I mean, the SBA actually offers loans at 3.5%, if I'm not mistaken. So 2 to 3% is really low. Anyways, make sure you check with your own loan officer about it. But if you are in New Mexico and you have a micro business and you are in one of these rural areas or economically disadvantaged communities, then you should know that February 1st, they're going to open up and start taking applications, and they're going to be reviewing applications on a monthly basis. Also in the news is one of my sheroes, Christine De La Rosa. She is the CEO of the People's Ecosystem. If you are a Black, Indigenous, or a person of color, okay, then you should know that industry leader and CEO of the People's Ecosystem has launched the People's Group, which is a fund, right, for other BIPOC and women-led companies in cannabis. So for more details about this fund, go to thepeoplesgroup.fund. Hats off to you, Christine De La Rosa, for setting the pace in cannabis today. We love you very much and can't wait to see what the fund is doing and gonna do in this industry. So when we return, we're gonna learn more about Anthony Jenkins and his journey into the cannabis industry when we return. But in the meantime, if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you share our, share this, okay? So people can just jump on and hear Anthony's story. It is an amazing story. Many people suffer from PTSD, depression, and all kinds of things. There's a lot of stress going on in the world, and find out how you can actually overcome those adversities when we be back after these messages.
We're very proud to be NCIA members. We've been members for the last 3 years, and I gotta say, every event, every conference, every get together that's sponsored by NCIA is a good opportunity, not just to meet others in the industry, obviously, but really to talk about the industry as a whole, where it's going, where it's been, our challenges to date.
We feel really grateful to NCIA for including us in the educational tracks the last 3 years. We've been at every seed to sale and most of the shows on the West Coast.
Every time we're here, I always have a sense that it's not just another one of these industry conferences, that it's actually that it is the industry's lobbying arm, and that it's an organization that is protecting all of us and fighting for the legal future that we all need.
At the end of the day, the most important and impactful thing for us is the community. It's really about the people that NCIA brings together, and the events like this one that NCIA organizes for us to gather.
If you're in this industry, NCIA is trying to influence it positively for you. If you're not speaking up, if you're not participating in committees, you're missing out on a huge window. Everyone wants change. Well, this is one of the ways you do it.
You don't have to be a member of the NCIA. You could just do nothing and let them do everything for you and fix all the problems that need to be fixed for the industry to work properly, and you could just sit on the sidelines. That would be fine, but it'd be better if you were a member.
We are back with Anthony Jenkins, CEO and co-founder of Next Level Edibles. Anthony was diagnosed with depression and anxiety after hitting a low point during the 2007 recession. When he was prescribed medications, he found that the artificially made products made him feel worse and did not provide therapeutic relief. He felt hopeless about his condition. That is until he discovered the benefits of cannabis. Here to tell his story is Anthony Jenkins. Hi, Anthony. Welcome to the Cannabis Minority Report podcast. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, Khadijah. How are you doing?
I am doing really great. Can you tell us more about yourself and about your journey into cannabis?
About myself, like you said, my name is Anthony Jenkins, born and raised in the Bay Area, California. As we were just talking about, spent some years in Mesa, Arizona, before returning back to California and graduating high school. Went to school in Atlanta, Georgia, Morehouse, and came back afterwards back home to California and have been in the Bay Area pretty much ever since. It's been an interesting ride in the cannabis industry. As you mentioned, I got a little bit depressed, more than a little bit depressed, and a specialist told me to start taking antidepressants, anti-anxiety medicines, and I started to and hated the way they made me feel, and just disconnected from the world, almost like the world was virtual reality, and I wasn't really interacting with the everyday life. And so I decided against the statements of the doctors to quit cold turkey, and started using cannabis to treat my issues. Unfortunately, I was a business professional like a lot of other people, and I couldn't go to work smelling like a joint or a blunt or a bong. And so I needed to find a different way to be able to medicate. Did some research, found out about edibles, found out that the half-life is much longer than smoking. And it didn't have the negative stigma associated with, smelling like cannabis, because you don't smell like cannabis.
Right.
And so did some more research and found out I could put it into some baked goods. And it really, really worked for me. My brother, who served tours in Iraq in the army, suffered from PTSD. And when he came home, he was also using cannabis to medicate instead of all the crazy opiates that they were offering him. But at the same time, he's African-American male, didn't want to go pick up his kids because he's missed dad. From school, smelling like, a blunt, a joint, because he didn't want that stigma to be associated with it.
Right.
And so he started using edibles as well. And when he told me that he was really getting help from it, we were like, yeah, maybe there's something here. And so that's kind of how next.
Wow. And your brother is also a co-founder with you, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely right. So my brother, Khadijah Jenkins, is my co-founder. And in fact, our business, it's a family business. Another one of our cousins and my sisters are part owners, and my best friends. Yeah.
Wow. So I love that. I love how you said my friends, your family, got everybody involved. I also heard you say that you were in the traditional world. So did you have any initial concerns about entering into the cannabis industry? And if you did, what were they and why did you have those concerns?
Yeah. No, I was young, dumb, and counting my blessings to come. I didn't have any concerns about entering cannabis, but I totally should have. I just had my eyes too set on the prize to think about the concerns that I should have had. The political landscape, access to funding, access to banking. Those are all concerns now that I look back and things that I'm facing now. But when I was first getting in, I just decided to jump straight in. There was a moment when I was at work, and I went to work in a suit and tie every day. And my boss's office overlooked my desk, and he had a glass window that just overlooked my desk.
Goodness.
And obviously, if I went to work and I rolled a joint there on my lunch or rolled a blunt there on lunch, I'd be fired immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Even if I walked into the office smelling like smoke, people would instantly start looking my way and I'd be fired.
Oh, yeah.
There was a day when I made some infused chocolate cupcakes, and I brought my cupcake to work. I set it on my desk, and my boss was on always looking at me. I'm eating my cupcake, and the cupcake was, I think, 30 milligrams. And I'm like, there's a business here, because he has no idea what's happening, and this is a potent, delicious product. And so, yeah, that experience, that epiphany, kind of overcame any of the doubts I had, the concerns I had about entering the industry. But again, hindsight, 2020, I should have had more concerns. But if there's a will, there's a way, and we've been successful, and we're going to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. But I love what you said. You just jump right in there. And as an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to take the leap. And so many of us are sitting on the fence and just won't take that leap, And so I commend you, because I could picture you sitting at your desk, taking a bite of this chocolate cupcake, looking at your boss, thinking you have no idea.
No idea. He has no idea. He's probably thinking, why is he staring at me in my eyes while he's eating? That's probably what he was thinking.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, and it's almost like taking a lollipop and just having your lollipop all day or chewing some gum or something, right? And no one absolutely knows. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, another concern that many entrepreneurs such as yourself have in the industry is, you know, as an African-American man entering the cannabis industry, right? There are a lot of challenges, right? What are some of the major challenges that you are experiencing? Because I would say that you have experience, but what are you experiencing as an African-American man in this industry?
I think the hardest thing, speaking for myself, the hardest thing about being an African-American in this industry is access to funding. This industry is expensive. That's an understatement. Any aspect you want to get into, dispensary, cultivation, manufacturing, like us, delivery service, no matter which direction you go in this industry, if you're touching the plant, it is extremely expensive. And so one of the hard parts about being African-American male is if you're going to a bank looking to get some loans, or if you're talking to an investor, they look at you, hey, this guy's obviously an African-American male. He's coming with me from the cannabis industry. I think there's those negative connotations that go along with both those things I mentioned, American cannabis. In addition, we're also an equity company as well. So I'm bootstrapping everything. We don't have a lot of funding. I think when we walk into an office and we mention those three things, just the negative check marks just start going off. People, oh, another Black man trying to get into weed. And that's actually not our business model at all. Well, I am Black, but we're manufacturing coconut oil for edibles. We're talking with another company about partnering on some feminine products. Like, this isn't, you know, getting high with your friends in the corners with 4 blunts. This is not that world. We're actually trying to produce a medicine to help people live better lives.
Yeah. You know, Anthony, as an investor, I can tell you, I've spoken to so many other investors, and right, you're absolutely right. You know, the first thing they say, what's in it for me if I help, quote unquote, a social equity applicant? And a lot of investors believe, and it's because the way that social equity applicants are being put out there, like they don't know anything, they're not educated, blah, blah, blah. And that's simply not true. I'm working with social equity applicants in New Jersey. One is working on his PhD. One has a bachelor's degree, you know, working on his bachelor's degree. You know, in Colorado, has his bachelor's degree, you know, and understands the cannabis industry. And so the way that social equity applicants are being marketed out there by so many different companies it is as though social equity applicants don't know anything.
Yep.
And so investors are saying to me and telling me, this is what they're telling me. Well, they still have a lot to learn. I want 49%, or I want the majority of the company. Why do they get the majority of the company? They don't even know how to run a business. How do you know?
I think it goes with the stereotypes that a lot of people associate with being African-American and African-American, especially male. The African-American experience is not a monolith. There's a whole bunch of different experience in the African-American experience. Yeah. And when somebody says equity, African-American cannabis, they're automatically thinking, oh, this guy's been to jail twice for these crimes. He knows absolutely nothing about cannabis, but he might have some weed connections. Whereas, no, I was in a talk the other day at the NCIA, and there's some people in the equity side. I was just like, this person is a freaking genius. I'm going to get in their coattails and follow them. All the way down to, yes, there are people who are brand new to the industry, but I think although education helps in this industry, what determines your success is how hard you are willing to work. That's when it comes down to it. Just like being an investor. That's right. I mean, there are some lucky things that you can do, but how hard willing to investigate the company you're working with, that's going to determine your success.
Absolutely. And diversification, of course, right? Not just investing in one company, but investing in multiple companies. You are absolutely right. And mind you, don't get me wrong. I do believe that there are social equity applicants out there who absolutely need the education that the industry offers. I get it 100%. But there are a lot of social equity applicants out here who are more qualified, not just in schooling or with schooling, right, degrees, but also with the education of cannabis, who are qualified and are great business people, and so I believe that investors are really missing out when they pass up social equity applicants. So if you're an investor out there, y'all better pay attention. But let me ask you, Anthony, so Next Level Edibles, how did you get this name and what does it mean for you and to your customers or patients?
So funny story. The year is, I'm going to say like 1988, 1987.
Okay.
And the first Nintendo just came out.
Okay.
Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, the original Nintendo came out. And on their commercials, after the video game and talking about the video game, there would be a child and they would whisper, "Welcome to the next level," after all their commercials. And when I was looking, I'm like, that's so cool. When I start a company, I'm gonna call it Next Level, because I don't know, it just had this connotation like, you've done all this stuff before, welcome to the best. And so, I don't know, I felt like that really vibed with what we're trying to do at Next Level. Because the reason we went into manufacturing edibles is because when I was dealing with my different issues and went into dispensaries and sampled some of the edibles that were out there, mostly chocolates and gummies. I'm not a big chocolate and gummy person.
Okay.
The edibles that I tried, they fell into two categories. And this is before a lot of the current legislation and regulations. Either they tasted great and had no effect whatsoever, or they tasted like it was meant for dog food and have me touching the sun. So those are the only two things you would get. Those are only two options. So I thought, hey, if I can make a product that tastes absolutely amazing and was consistently dosed to get you to the right level, then that is the next evolution in cannabis edibles. That's the next step. That's the next level.
I love that. Now, I'm not sure if the audience caught what you just said, visualization, because you went back to 1987 when you saw Next Level after these commercials, and you said that when you had a business, you were going to name it Next Level. And here we are today in 2022, right? And you have a company called Next Level Edibles. And in 87, you had no idea that you would have Next Level Edibles, but you knew you would have Next Level. So visualization, people, is really important. And out of the mouth, right, is life or death. Totally. And I believe that you spoke a lot of life into your dreams of becoming an entrepreneur. So my hat's off to you. And tell me something about consistency, because I'm right there with you. I came into the cannabis industry by way of the Colorado market. And, I was told, oh my God, you got to try this edible or that edible. I kid you not, Anthony, let me tell you, this edible that I tried in Colorado, it stated on there that it was 300 milligrams. This is what it stated. I was upset. And mind you, I paid a nice little piece of change for it, but I was upset because I ate the whole thing, had no experience whatsoever. And I felt like, I could have just bought me a Hostess cupcake and had the same
experience. Yep.
Quite seriously. And I literally thought, okay, well, edibles don't work on me. And so
I hear that a lot, by the way.
Yeah. And so I go to, when I get to Arizona, same situation, right? I found this big, beautiful snickerdoodle, and it was the most beautiful cookie I'd ever seen, right? And I'm like, yes, 100 milligrams, let's just see. Nothing. Okay. And I said, you know what, forget it. I have never, to this day, ever had an experience with an edible, ever. And so I cannot wait to try Next Level edibles. So yeah, I have to try Next Level.
No, we hear that a lot, that edibles don't affect me, or we hear the other thing I had, which goes into the same thing. I had one once and I was way too out there based upon what I was expecting, and so I don't do edibles. Fortunately, in the California market currently, the legal California market, everything is
Wait, let's be clear. Let's be clear. You said, wait, the legal
market. So yeah, if you stop to the corner guy, or if you go to a smoking event, yeah, it might be a different story. But if you walk into the dispensary and you purchase an edible, one of the reasons the industry is so expensive manufacturing is because everything needs to be tested 30 times before it gets to the consumer's hand. So it's tested, and retested to make sure it is that dosage that you see on the packaging. In addition to that, we use a full product coconut oil, or cannabis in our coconut oil. So it's full spectrum. You're getting the entourage effect, which has a big effect on what you feel when the cannabis starts to kick in. We also use sunflower lecithin, which is wholesome, made by sunflowers. And it's an emulsifier, and it makes the THC more bioavailable in the body. For quick example, if you take 1,000 milligram vitamin C pill, most of it will flush out of your body when you go to the bathroom. If you take something that makes the vitamin C more bioavailable, more of that vitamin C is actually interacting into your cell and working for your body. Less of it is flushed out during urine. Sunflower lecithin does the same thing for THC, making it more bioavailable for your body. In addition to that, we bought a really expensive, forgetting the word right now, but it's basically a device that, a homogenizer that makes the particles of coconut oil a little bit smaller, makes it a little bit easier for it to absorb into the body. All those things together make our coconut oil a potent product that you will feel.
Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that, right? Is that a challenge?
Oh, 100%. I have never had someone say that they did not feel the effects of our products.
Okay,
in fact, I had a friend who said that, edibles don't really affect me. He had 3 of our cupcakes, left our house, came back 30 minutes later because he realized he forgot his jacket, left our house, came back 20 minutes later because he figured they left the baby's backpack. So he came back to my house 3 times because he left stuff based upon our edibles that they don't affect him. So I'm positive. Next time you come out to California, Khadijah, we'll get you some coconut oil in some of our cups.
You know I have witnesses, right? It's a lot of witnesses listening to this. Okay, y'all know. Okay, we're gonna hold you accountable, right? So what type of edibles do you manufacture?
That's a great question. So we currently manufacture infused coconut oil, which I was just talking about. And it's just coconut oil and cannabis. The coconut oil is vegan and organic. The cannabis is locally sourced from Sanctuary Farms, another equity company in Northern California.
Nice.
And it's the old school process. So thyme and water, and that makes our coconut oil, and it's 1,000 milligrams for the 4-ounce jar. And the awesome part is people are like, oh no, it's gonna smell like terpene stuff. We wanted it to have a slight terpene smell because it is cannabis. But when you open up our jar, the coconut is actually more dominant.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so are you saying that I can make, whatever I want? I just use your oil, and when I use your oil, it actually infuses whatever it is I'm making, whether it's cake or cookies or pizza or whatever?
Absolutely right. And a lot of times people will ask me, like, the cupcake recipe calls for a cup of coconut oil or a cup of butter. Do I use 1 cup of Next Level's infused coconut oil? No. Figure out how potent you want the cupcakes to be, the cake to be, and our product is 40 milligrams per teaspoon. Use enough teaspoons to get the product to the level that you want. Don't use the whole jar of coconut, or it's going to be a fun run. I mean, you can if you want, but that's not the way it's designed. Just substitute a little bit of the butter or oil with our coconut oil and infuse your dish that way. And it can go into anything, anything within reason, obviously. You don't want to put coconut oil in water, but all the things that you mentioned, spaghetti, sauces, pizza.
I can put it in my coffee?
I put it in my coffee. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh man, because I drink like 8 cups of coffee a day.
We also make an infused brown sugar. Again, it's organic brown sugar and THC.
What?
And it's perfect for coffee or tea, but me personally, I actually like putting the coconut oil in my coffee because it adds a little bit of coconut. It's a little bit less sweet for me, and it just tastes good to me.
Okay, so if they call coffee with grass-fed butter, bulletproof, what do we call coffee with your coconut oil? We're gonna have to come up with a name for that. We're gonna have to come up with a name for that, for real.
Absolutely right.
Okay, I'm thinking about that, man. We're gonna call this something. All right, so can anyone purchase your coconut oil, or are you just B2B?
Well, our coconut oil is currently available, and our brown sugar will be available in the next few weeks. But here in California, we have a 3-tier system. So us as a manufacturer can't sell directly to consumers. Us as the manufacturer, we can sell to a distributor, and then the distributor brings the product to either a dispensary or to a delivery service, and those dispensary delivery services work directly with consumers.
Wow.
So if you're here in California, currently we're only available in Northern California. We'll be at Ivy Hill, our coconut oil and brown sugar will be there shortly, and 7-Star Holistic in Richmond very soon.
Wow, that is amazing. And so, dang, I'm in California, but I get that. Trust me, I'm getting there. Okay, so let me ask you this. So what are the current needs of your organization right now?
We are, it's funny, I've been in the cannabis industry for, I feel like 5 years. Yeah, it's been about 5 to 6 years, but our business just got licensed this past March.
Congratulations.
Thank you. There is a lot of red tape to go get licensed in the California cannabis industry. But now that we're finally here, we just got our first production batch to the distributor, and it will be, like I said, in Ivy Hill in Oakland very soon. What we really need is more dispensary partnerships.
Okay.
And of course, like I was mentioning earlier, funding, contacts with investors who are open-minded and will just hear us out with an open mind. We're not saying that you have to invest in our company, but when you listen to our pitch, don't go in with blinders. Oh, he's African American. Oh, it's an equity company. Oh, it's an Oakland company. Oh, it's a weed cannabis company. Go in with, here's a gentleman who's starting it's an entrepreneur. He's going out on a business venture. I'm going to hear him out with everything he has to say, and then start thinking from there. That's all we ask.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because at the end of the day, man, you are really intelligent and a great businessman from what you're presenting right now. And we're gonna have to talk about this whole investment situation seriously, because I love what I'm hearing. So what advice would you give other Black men entering this industry?
There's a few pieces of simple advice for anybody trying to enter this industry, but especially if you're a minority. First, a real quick and simple one: join a Facebook group. I mean, I know that sounds so simple and quick, but there is a Facebook group here in Northern California called the East Bay Canna Community. They were like 3/4 of my cannabis education, just watching the different threads in that group. And I didn't come from cannabis. I've been, dabbling for a while, but not from a business aspect. But when I joined that Facebook group just to read the different posts that go on there, it's really been an education for the industry for me. The second I highly recommend is getting into an accelerated program. We were blessed to get into one called Our Dream, Our Academy, ran by Hillary Yu. That program was absolutely amazing. It went over pretty much every aspect of how to run a cannabis business. It was specifically created for minorities trying to get into the cannabis industry. We got so many connections for accounting, for banking, for website building, for branding from all the different meetings we had in the accelerator program. Again, we're equity. I don't have a lot of money. It was free. So I'm a big proponent of inexpensive things. And so to be able to get that much education for $3.99 was amazing. And one of the best parts about that program, the third thing that I would mention for people trying to get into this industry, is find a mentor. Not today, yesterday.
That's right.
Go get a mentor, because there's, especially in this industry, there's these little pitfalls that you don't know about. People who are in the industry, some of them don't know about. But a mentor who has already had to go along that path, he can point out each of those pitfalls for you, and they'll save you so much time, so much money. And if you find a great mentor, we were paired up with Ted, I'm not going to hack his last name, from Flower Company. It has been a blessing, because he's connected to everybody in the industry. Any questions that I have, he's done it 5 times before. He's got great perspective. And a mentor doesn't tell you, hey, do this, do this, do this. They give you perspective on on how it's worked out for them based on how they handled the same situation. So if you think your situation is a little bit different, do what you think is best. A mentor will just try to guide some light for you down the dark pathway.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So how do people reach out to you? Do you have a website, social media? Is there a phone number, email address?
Sure. I'm always available through social media. We're Next Level Edibles on Facebook, and on IG, we're NXT Level Edibles. Feel free to reach out that way, or on our website. We're www.nextleveledibles.com. Yeah, contact us that way, or feel free to shoot me an email. My email address is on the website.
You are absolutely amazing, Anthony. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you, and we wish you so much success with your business. And we'd like to have you back on the show in a few months so that we can check on you and see if you raise that capital, and if you've gotten what you need to get. Because if not, we need to highlight you on our show until you get what you need to get, right?
Thank you, Khadijah. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks again. We wish you a lot of success, and other entrepreneurs that join us on our show. And you guys, if you are listening, go ahead and subscribe to the Cannabis Minority Report podcast on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Apple Podcast, or on any of your favorite platforms. If you'd like your products highlighted on our show, be sure to contact me at info@khadijahadams.com, or contact my producer, Vince Chandler, at vince@thecannabisindustry.org. And if you have a 30-second commercial or a 1-minute commercial that you'd like to have aired on our show, make sure that you get with us, okay? We'll be back right after these messages.
It is the budding dispensary of knowledge.
We want to be more than just the PubMed of cannabis, the Google Scholar of cannabis. We want to be a continuing education platform that is easily accessible.
We see this as being able to leave a legacy for the entire industry and really elevate this plant to where it deserves to be.
Staying alive was no job at second hand. Moms bounced on old men.
All right, you guys, we are back. Don't forget to check out the NCIA's member news blog, and also our industry insights that includes our NCIA member spotlight series, where we also highlight some of our new members who have joined us to our social equity scholarship program. Don't forget to download the NCIA's mobile app. Special shout out to our DEI program sponsors, Tahoe Wellness Center, the law offices of Omar Figueroa. Y'all know I love Omar Figueroa. And also Copper State Farms. And if you want to be a DEI program sponsor, Make sure you contact the NCIA as soon as possible. This is a new year. It's time for some new money. Y'all need to call because you know that we need this money, right? Y'all know my company is Girl Get That Money. Don't call me, call the NCIA. And then if you'd like to be a sponsor of the Cannabis Minority Report podcast, get at me as well. So the mission of the DEIC committee is to educate, to advocate, to engage and empower the community of cannabis and its members by cultivating partnerships with other nonprofit organizations with similar goals, providing resources that create and sustain an environment that is inclusive, equitable, and diverse. We are committed to building a culture that respects our members and also celebrates their contributions as we work together to strengthen all communities in cannabis. Until next Monday, you guys, peace, love, and hippie stuff.
NCIA's Cannabis Minority Report is a product of the National Cannabis Industry Association and NCIA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We are hosted every week by Khadijah Adams. Our executive producers are Aaron Smith and Vince Chandler. We are directed by Vince Chandler and produced by Bethany Moore. Please, please, please find out everything you can about the growing and equitable cannabis industry at thecannabisindustry.org.